My lovely creepy followers and friends. Today we are going to read another story of The Headless Maid by Uneasefeline. I've read stories by her before and they're actually really good, so we're going to hope this one is just as good. Before my great-grandmother died, she told me a story on her deathbed. She took my hand as she exhaled a slow but heavy sigh. "Nick, my dear, you must promise me to not tell anyone else that doesn't need to hear it. They wouldn't understand or won't believe it. Am I clear?" She looked at me with her tired eyes. With a nod, she listened. She tightened her grip and began. "When I was a little girl, maybe 6 or 7, I had an older sister named Liliana. She was kind, caring, funny, but she can be serious when needed. At the time, we still lived in England in a beautiful mansion. What I remember the most of our home was the lovely garden in the backyard. Every day, if it was nice out, Liliana and I would eat at lunch outside. The young maid that would always accompany us and always made the tea and food, her name was Vera. A very shy girl, but very kind and sweet. Well, one day when we were eating lunch, Liliana asked Vera a question. My great-grandmother laughed a little and continues. Vera looked so worried when my sister asked her who made the tea. Vera said she did, and said if there was anything wrong. No, the tea was delicious. The same with the finger sandwiches. Thank you, Vera. A smile came across my grandmother's face as she remembers everything like it just happened yesterday. When Liliana said that, Vera's face turned red as she kept saying thank you, my lady. My sister then asked her to join us for lunch, and if our mother said anything, that Liliana would take the blame. Day after day, Liliana and Vera grew close. Whenever we played hide and seek, they would always hide in the same place together, giggling. It was easy to find them. I remember the night when they kissed. I wasn't there, but I saw them from my room. They stood under the old willow tree. It was like a fairy tale story. The moon was full and wind was blowing lightly. Liliana was the first to kiss Vera. When she pulled away, she was blushing and smiling at Vera, just stood there. You get the talent of reading lips from me, kiddo. My grandmother laughed again, but started to cough quickly. I gave her the cool glass of water that was on her nightstand. Taking a sip, she smiled down at the cup. I love you, Vera. I have always loved you. It was like magic words coming from my sister's lips because the moon was brighter, the wind was blowing slower, like time was stopping. I couldn't read Vera's lips, but she jumped up, wrapping her arms around my sister, placing a kiss on her lips this time. They laughed and blushed as they sat under the willow tree holding hands. They were so happy. Their relationship wasn't going unnoticed. I was the only one that thought it was sweet and only cared for their happiness. My mother, however, thought it was a disgrace. And sick. The day that changed and broke my sister's heart, and the first worst thing I have ever seen. I still can't believe what my mother did to that poor girl. Liliana was away that day. I, my mother, Vera, and a few other workers were home. Vera was in the kitchen making food. The day was sunny, so I asked her to join me for lunch. She was happy to. I blamed myself for her death. When Vera didn't come for some time, I went inside to see what was going on. They were screaming coming from the kitchen. Slowly, I leaned on the wall and looked around the door. My mother was screaming at Vera, who was on the floor holding a hand on her cheek. My mother's words still leave a sour feeling inside me. You are ill. You are disgusting, and for you to make my daughter sick as well, I will have you sent away to be never seen again. My daughter doesn't love you. My grandmother closed her eyes as a tear fell slowly down her cheek. She inhaled and looked me deep in the eyes. Vera stood up, looked at my mother, her hands balled tightly to her sides. She looked like a warrior ready for a fight. Liliana loves me, and I love her. She doesn't care that I'm poor. She doesn't care that I'm a woman. Why love each other? We love each other, damn it. The look my mother gave her, it was pure evil. Before Vera could defend herself, my mother grabbed a meat cleaver and putting both my hands on her cold hand. Oh my God. Vera could defend herself. My mother grabbed a meat cleaver and putting both my hands on her cold hand, my great-grandmother started to cry. She swallowed as she sniffed. There was so much blood. I didn't see where Vera's head fell, but I saw her headless body as a blood formed a pool around her neck. When my mother realized what she did, she ran out of the kitchen yelling for help, saying that there was an accident. Liliana's face when she was told of what happened to Vera. She was a broken girl. Her heart was shattered into pieces. Her mother told everyone that Vera fell, and the meat cleaver fell with her. Now how anyone believed it is beyond me. But it felt like Liliana knew it wasn't true either. Before Vera's ashes were cold, my mother arranged a marriage for my sister. Liliana was furious. She didn't want to marry anyone. Her true love was gone, and she didn't love the man our mother was forcing her to marry. But she didn't have a say. On her wedding day, my sister looked at me. Her veil was covering her face, but I saw that she was crying. She put both hands on my shoulders, telling me to never marry someone I don't love. My sister cried the whole time. Even when the man kissed her, she was crying. Everyone thought she was just happy. They were wrong. Dead wrong. This is why I don't like arranged marriages, and I don't believe in them. My mother held a party for the newlyweds. Being the only child, theirs probably what saved my life that night. I was bored and tired of hearing the adults talk on about something. I left the ballroom to go play in my room. Passing by a window, the moon was high and bright. The willow tree stood in front of it, casting a skeleton-like shadow. Someone or something stood under the tree. They were holding something that was shining from the moonlight. I blinked when trying to get a better look, but it was gone. Shrugging it off, I went on my way. It wasn't long till screams filled the large home. Running back to the ballroom, the screams just stopped halfway there. The two doors were closed. Blood was flowing out from under them. The smell of iron was sickening. Pushing the one door open, my legs became jelly. Everyone that came to the party was dead. All their chests cut open, their hearts missing. Some had their heads cut off. The only two still standing in the room of the dead was the headless woman. She held a bloody meat cleaver to her side. She was covered in blood. There was dark red smoke coming out of the neck that was bleeding behind the smoke. I saw Liliana standing. She had both hands wrapped around her stomach as blood was coming out of her mouth, but she was smiling. My great-grandmother started to sniffle again. I still love you, Vera. My great-grandmother looked out the window as it started to rain. My sister fell slowly. The headless woman grabbed her before she could touch the bloody floor. The red smoke from the headless woman's neck grew like a storm cloud and filled the room. I heard a loud scream coming from her, then a sobbing sound as she held my sister's lifeless body. I whimpered, which made the headless woman turn to face me. When I started to cry and couldn't help but close my eyes, hoping it was a nightmare, I opened them. She was gone. It was just in a room of bodies and blood. The police were no help. They blamed it on a robbery gone wrong. Idiots. I was sent to go live with my aunt's family. I didn't feel safe anymore. It felt like I was being watched. When I was old enough, I moved to America, meeting a man, and started a family. With him, everything was great. I felt safe. But when he started to become a drunk and abusive, the feeling of being watched came back. He went missing when he went out one night. I swallowed hard because my mom told me about him just to scare me because I was sneaking out of the house at night. My great-grandmother was found dead. My great-grandfather was found dead with his chest cut open and his heart was missing. My great-grandmother grips my hand. Wish your mother didn't tell you the details, but when the police told me how he died, my heart dropped. The headless woman found me again. I feared for my family, but she never hurt us. But I knew she was there, so did my family. We would see her out of the corner of our eyes, just watching, till someone did one of us wrong. I think the maid, loved her sister so much that when she died of course, a young and tragic death, she came back, which so often spirits and stuff do, and wanted her sister to come with her. And she wants to harm the people now that hurt the ones she loved, whether she loved them in a relationship type of way or more like a family or sibling type of way, anything like that. I guess family is sibling, my bad. But she wants to protect everybody. When you do somebody wrong, such as be abusive, she's going to show you the true pain. So while that person was being abusive towards her, she killed him because that's her way of saying he should have appreciated what he had when he had it. Because she never got to have what she wanted. She never got to marry the one she loved. So now she's going to harm those who are unappreciative of those who love them, or harm the ones that the maid happened to love. Nick, swear to me that when someone hurts you, leave and don't look back, because that person will die if you stay. Their blood will be on your hands. I don't want to scare you, but Vera doesn't like it when someone hurts another's heart. My great-grandmother looked at me with fear in them. I smiled a little. I swear, I said lightly. My great-grandmother smiled, then started to breathe heavily. She was looking behind me when I turned. There was no one, but she was still in a panic. Till she calmed down, the last words she spoke still haunt me. I'm ready, Vera. I'll tell Liliana hello for you. Looking back at her, she closes her eyes and her hand fell out of mine. There came the sound of someone walking out of the room and down the hall. When I went looking, there wasn't anyone in the now quiet home. At her funeral, it was sunny out, but the wind was blowing. My family came to wish her goodbye, getting the feeling of being watched. I looked around, turning my head to look at a hill. On top of it was a large willow tree. My heart started to race when I saw the headless woman. She was standing under it with both hands behind her back. She was wearing a maid's dress that was stained in blood. Red smoke was coming out of her bloody neck as she stood there. Are you okay? My wife asked. I jumped and looked at her, then smiled, taking a hold of her hand. Yeah, just thought I saw a fox. My wife smiled with a bit of a worried look. When I looked back at the willow tree, Vera was gone. Liz, don't break my heart, please. I spoke lightly. Well, when you hurt somebody else so bad, that woman wants to make you feel the same hurt that she did. Vera didn't get a chance to marry the one she loved and be with them. Teely, will you quit? Sasha, will you quit? Whoever you are, quit. Yeah, Sasha. So since she didn't get to be with the one she loved, when those break the hearts of the ones that love them, they end it. She rips their heart out of their chest. That's her way of saying, you're going to feel the same pain you caused to the person you love. You should have appreciated it when you had it. Now you'll never ever have another chance at it. But by chance, I don't think Vera's doing it to necessarily be mean. I think she's trying to protect them from feeling the same pain that she did. It is a bad way to do it, I guess, but she's trying to protect them from being hurt again by that specific person. But that is it for now. I hope they create a part 2. I absolutely love her books. And in case you didn't catch that name, it is by Uneasefeline. They make really good books. I think this is probably the third or fourth one I read by them, and they're actually really, really good and really detailed. It literally like paints the image so perfect, like It paints the image so perfect, like you were physically there.